Hi, my name is Discipline Dave, where I put the technique in your physique. Today, I'm reviewing the cheapest bands that you can find on Amazon. I think I paid like $8 or $7 for these, but these were the cheapest ones that I could find. They even had like a coupon that you can click for like 10% off. So I don't have high expectations for it, but I'm gonna keep an open mind and I'm gonna review these and do the best that I can do with these. Okay, so we're gonna look at my first impressions. So that first experience when you open the box, what comes with it. We're gonna take a look at all the accessories and the attachments. We're gonna see how these perform, how durable they are, and then finally we're gonna see if you should buy these. What should you do? Should you get the cheapest bands or should you invest in good quality? I'm gonna answer all those for you through this video. Now, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, I do all things resistance bands on this channel. I do a bunch of reviews on here. I do a bunch of workouts. So if you're looking to find the best bands and how to use them, this is the channel for you. I did last year the top resistance bands of 2021, so go ahead and check those out. We're entering in 2022. In about 6 months or so, after I get a lot of different bands to try out, I'll also do an update of the best bands of 2022, and then I'll do the awards at the end of the year. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if that sounds like something that you're interested in. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Now let's see how these bands hold up. All right, so these are my first impressions of these bands. I have not seen these bands. I only took it out of the UPS packaging. But as far as like visually seeing it, what's inside, I haven't checked out anything. So these are my absolute honest first impressions. So let's see what we got here. So looks like we got handles in the bag here. And it looks like there's some, a chart on how to use the bands. So let's take a look at that. All right. So from what it looks like, there's some exercises of some type of 360 diagram of muscle groups. Shows you the exercises. There's no sets or reps. There's nothing on the back. So you're getting that. Let's see here. Look at these ankle straps. Now, these aren't the worst that I've seen. Yeah, I've definitely seen worse than this, but the padding is very minimum. I mean, at least there is some type of padding. Normally, on the very cheap ones, you don't get this part of the foam here. You just get the nylon, which eats into you. So this shouldn't be too problematic, but it definitely could be more plush and thicker for those ankle straps. All right, door stopper. Pretty standard. I would like for it to be a bigger wheel on there for more security. The plushness of this is kind of thick. I like it to be softer so it can really fill into that crack of the door. But yeah, pretty standard. Oh, they give you two. There you go, there's two. Very rarely do I get two door stoppers, so it can really save you time, I guess, for moving it up and down on your door. I love that I have two. Now these handles are pretty cheap. Pretty cheap. What I don't like about these handles are that this inner portion is a cheap plastic. It's not a very thick one. And these nylon straps, super thin. They can kind of rub on my skin a little bit. I really don't like this type here. A lot of people are worried about bands snapping, but I find in a lot of my uses of resistance bands that mostly the handles are the more problematic thing. These crack right here in the middle, and you really can't use them anymore. So I've had these nylon strips snap on me. I've had these D-rings snap on me. That's a good thing about it is this metal looks pretty thick. I think that'll hold up, but the band, especially using heavy resistance like me, it can be a problem. What else we got in here? So, okay, this is different. So I'm assuming this is the bag that you put it in. Oh no, it's like a towel. Is this a towel? I'm not sure what this is for. Let me see if does it say anything in here? Nope. There's another one. I didn't really read the Amazon description that much, but they kind of just look for a cheap one and they buy it. But yeah, here's a blue one. All right, let's see. Is there anything else before we get to the bands? I think it's just the bands next. So let's see here. This is what we're here for, the bands. Okay, so let's talk about the feel of these. These have the slick finish, not the grippy finish, which I like both. I like the slick finish because you can make adjustments easier, but it seems like the more durable ones have more of that finish that grips. So what I do like, it is that dual layer style of latex here. So what you're seeing, a lot of times you just see just the thinner portion of the color in there, but it doesn't really get that thick. But the diameter of that thickness, you can take a look at that. That's a good sign there. So I'm very hopeful for those. Now, these carabiner hooks. These are bottom of the barrel El Cheapos. I can tell. Where if you take this and you put pressure on it one way or you put pressure on the other way, a lot of force, this won't align properly. I've had that happen a lot with cheap bands. So, and sometimes if they don't align and then they'll come like forward this way and they're bent. So that's problematic. Good news is they come off so you can replace them. These carabiner hooks, they definitely cut cost here. I think the thing that costs the most on these resistance bands are the metal. I don't make resistance bands, I'm just assuming. So yeah, that's the hook there. But let's see, you get, it's quite a few bands. All right, let's see, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even a light green. Okay, so you got a green and a light green. Maybe they could have went with a completely different color. I don't know, maybe that was part of the cutting cost. It's like, we'll just put a little white in the dye, make this one a lime green. All right, so let's go through the resistance here. So it looks like the black one is it? No, I'm wrong, it's the red one. So the red one, looking at 50 pounds of resistance. The black one is 40. This blue one is 20. The yellow is 10. You got 5 pounds here. Is there a 30 pound? Oh, there is a 30 pound. The green one is 30. So it looks like they go from 50 pounds of resistance and on the way down. If you watch my channel enough, you know that these numbers are kind of useless. Okay, I won't say useless, but they're a guide. They're not, don't take these like exactly how weight would match into like plates at the gym. So, or like dumbbells or anything like that. You don't want to match it that way because there's something called linear stretch, where if you stretch it more, there's going to be more resistance and there's going to be less resistance with less stretch. So that's going to vary. If the weight is very important for you, I did a review on these bands by WeGym, and it has an app that shows you in real time as the bands are stretching how many pounds of resistance that you're getting. I think it does it in kilograms too. But so check that out if that's super important for you. My first impressions are they're pretty basic. I wouldn't say there's nothing that's overly great, but yeah, that's it. I still don't know what these are. But throw them in the air. Whee! Got different colors. Whee! But at least there was some set of instructions, pretty basic, the bag and everything. So now that we've opened it and we dove into all the equipment here, how about we go ahead and put these to the test with performance. So all that's left is let's go ahead and work out with them and see how they hold up. So when it came to testing the performance of these bands, I tested these every day, and so did Mrs. Discipline Dave. You can see that she tried to work out with them too. And I'll let you know, here are some of her thoughts. So what you think so far about the Amazon cheap bands?
You can feel the cheapness in the handle, like the quality, but as far as like an actual workout, it gets the job done.
All right.
Even if I just did one arm, trying to implement the Discipline Dave exercises.
Okay, go ahead now.
Side. Of course, the technique is the most important part, but I feel it if I squeeze, as we all know. But
dang, Miss Discipline Day gonna have her own workout video.
yeah, but no, they work. It's just, I would say, being picky or spoiled, the handles, I feel like after a while they would wear and tear, like how we've tried other bands before.
So I did a lot of different exercises. Here are some pros and cons when it came to the durability when it came to the bands. Now, if you look on the channel, I normally don't have a problem with bands snapping. I review a lot of bands, and actually only one band has ever snapped on me. So I actually didn't have an issue with that, and I really tried to pop these bands. You can see that I really pushed these to the limit. I was scared of, I put on like a sweat jacket just in case it popped to hit me on the back, because I did a review a while back on some Bodylastic ones that are anti-snap bands, and I really tried to snap them. And Mrs. Discipline Dave, she tied a towel to my back, or not a towel, a pillow to my back. And I didn't even notice until after filming the video. Like, if that band snapped on me, I wouldn't have been protected at all because the back portion was flopping down. So I said, oh, let me go ahead and just put on a coat here with a hoodie and let's just see how this works. And I really tried my best to pop the bands, but nothing happened there. So you don't have to worry about them snapping or popping. Maybe if you bought these bands and you put them in storage and there was no moisture, it was very hot, I can see that latex crack and possibly snap. But it didn't snap on me in my initial review. The only things I was really, really concerned about, and when I say really because these are the things that really happen a lot, is that the handles are very thin plastic interior. So when you're putting on a lot of stress, I've seen those crack many times with these same type of handles. Did they crack during this one? No, it did not. But I can see that this will be problematic. I didn't have any confidence in the handles. Also, when it came to the carabiner hooks, they're very thin metal, and I can see this is where I think the most constant when it comes to bands, because you can see they went really cheap there. They actually didn't do too bad with the latex. It's a dual layer latex on the bands itself. It's not just like hollow in the middle. There's an extra material in the middle, which I love because it gives me really confidence, a lot of confidence when I'm stretching the bands. But they really went cheap on the metal portion. All the metal attachments, very thin, very flimsy. Even the part where the carabiner hook, where you like pull it and let it go, where it latches, I can easily wiggle that to the left or to the right, and I can see if I don't have it lined up properly, the band can kind of catch on there and possibly have a tear, and then I could have a problem with snapping. Or it can just completely bend in the wrong direction, and then I would have to bend it, which compromises the confidence of the strength of the carabiner hook. And I've seen them where they bend and you can kind of come completely out with it there, and it's kind of ruined there. So I don't feel confident in the carabiner hooks. That is something that I saw very problematic. I heard a lot of cracking and stuff like that when I was using the bands. Some of it could have been the door, some of it could have been the bands itself, but that was very problematic. Also, on the end of the bands where the nylon attaches, you're talking about from where the latex of the actual band is in the carabiner hook, that in-between section, that nylon, what I found with these bands are they're very rough on the edges. So when I was doing certain exercises, let's say like a cable fly, it was like rubbing against my arms, and I can see that my skin was getting red, getting ready to scratch it and possibly bleed. This has actually happened to me before. If you look at one of my reviews that I did, I think it was the Band Awards of 2020, one of them that won were the Toy bands, and I still really love those bands, but the reason why they're not on my top list anymore is because of that same issue. Rough nylon on the edge, on the end of it. I was doing an exercise, you can actually see it in the video, where it rubbed against the side of my arm and it started bleeding. So yeah, I got a little bit of a scar there. And this is something I can see happening with these bands. So once I realized that was happening, I abandoned that because I was just like, Mrs. Monday was already giving me crap about the scarf from the other one there. But I was in the middle of filming a video and I wanted to make sure I got you guys a good video. But so that's something just to look out for if you want to go with like the cheapest bands on Amazon. One good thing that I really like about it, which is kind of hard to find in bands, is the linear stretch of the bands. When I was trying to pop them, I was like, man, these things really go pretty far. And certain exercises, let's say if you're doing like a shoulder press or a military press with a bottom door stopper, it can be kind of sketchy sometimes with some other bands, especially on the thicker ones because the stretch doesn't go that far. But even on these with the thickest band, I was able to stretch it with confidence. The problem is that the resistance wasn't the greatest. You will have to load a lot of bands for that resistance. And from my experience, the more bands you load, the more problems can occur. Also, I feel less confident in using the bands when I have to add multiples. But when I did add multiples, there was a ton of resistance. I put on all the bands, used some exercises that use a lot of resistance, and they seem to do pretty well with these bands. But personally, I prefer less bands that give me more strength. That for me works fine. You don't have to worry about so much rubber rubbing against you, the nylon and all that. It's easier to maneuver if it's on top of your arm or underneath your arm in certain exercises. So I really like less bands. There's ones that I use currently, TorroBands. They're pretty strong bands, but I really like those. So check out that review if you're interested in those. Now let's get down to what we're here for. Let's answer the question, should you buy these bands? So these are my thoughts. If you're a person who is motivated right now to work out and you're on a budget, these bands are a good starter. I just want you to start working out. If you can just do that, that's the goal of the channel, and that's the goal I'm trying to get to the people, is that it's more about you using the bands and the bands itself. Now, I want you to be safe doing it. Now, this is where I have the issue with the bands. When it comes to that nylon rubbing on you and possibly cutting your skin, you're gonna get discouraged if that happens and you're less likely to work out. And so if that is something that is preventing you from workout, I couldn't 100% recommend these. But if you don't have any money, you're looking to use just trying to get anything to start working out, these aren't the worst that I've seen. I was expecting a lot worse, and it didn't happen. If you are gonna get these bands and you're on a budget, I would definitely recommend upgrading the handles. I would definitely recommend upgrading the carabiner hooks. And the thing is that that's when it's gonna get pricey. Because if you have to buy new carabiner hooks, that's the bulk of what makes the bands pricey. And this is where they obviously save money. I would do those upgrades over time as you get more income. But if you have some money to spend, I would definitely spend more on some good quality bands. I'm gonna do some more reviews throughout the year on bands, and then I'll have my overall take. But if you wanna see what I recommended from last year, go ahead and check out that video next. Those are the top resistance bands of 2020 that I've reviewed. And any one of those would be a great alternative to these. If you don't have any money, I would still go ahead and just try these out. But go ahead and check out that video next. It's coming up next, the top bands of 2020. And that way you can see some real bands that are really gonna help you long term. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching.